And with that, I think the era of In the Jungle vibes is officially over. Hi everyone, it's Marian, and for today's video, I'm sharing with you my plant trend predictions in 2023. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I love doing this plant trend prediction videos because I want to see what's coming up in the year when it comes to the plant hobby and within the plant community. But being a plant hobbyist and in the plant community for about 4 years now, I kind of made observations and I want to make my predictions for what I think is going to be the plant trends in 2023. But keep in mind, this is based on my own opinion, so it's going to be very biased. So if it doesn't apply to you and if you don't agree, that's okay, but do share your own opinions and thoughts on what you think is going to be the plant trends in 2023. And if you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Marian. Welcome to My Oasis Life, where I take you along my houseplant and sustainable lifestyle journey and share with you some of my tips and tricks along the way. I also share my personal and travel vlogs here and there, so if you're into that type of content, make sure to subscribe to my channel before the end of this video, and also make sure to like and comment down below. I would love to hear from you. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. First plant trend that I see in 2023 is people being more into mature plants or getting their plants to mature. I think for a lot of us plant parents who did start in the hobby during the quarantine era of COVID, we are looking into getting our plants to mature more. And back then I was open to juvenile plants, especially when I had so many plants. I rather keep my plants small and juvenile, but now that I have downsized my plant collection, I'm really interested in seeing my plants mature or just getting new plants that are a bit more mature instead of starting from juvenile plants. And especially now with plant prices going down and the demand is also going down, there's a lot more mature plants available in the market at lower prices. So I think plant parents wanting to buy more mature plants or getting their plants to mature this year is going to be a big trend in 2023. Another plant trend that I see in 2023 is putting plants in poles. I think these have always been a trend within the houseplant community, and it had a big year last year in 2022, but I think it will have an even bigger year this year, especially as people want more mature plants or trying to mature their plants. One caveat though that I kind of like want to implore the plant community, a lot of it will want to use sphagnum moss, and we just have to remind ourselves that sphagnum moss is a non-renewable resource. So I encourage everyone to look for alternatives, or if we're going to use sphagnum moss, try to use poles that don't use a lot of the sphagnum moss. I have some recommendations in my plant pole videos. I'll have the link down in the description, so go check them out. So another plant trend that I'm going to see is going to be very big in 2023, which is actually making a comeback since it was stopped during the COVID quarantine era, is plant swaps. I've started to go to plant swaps last year, even in 2021. But I think this year, more plant shops, more plant groups, plant community that's local to you is going to offer a lot of plant swap events this year. Like last year, majority of the new plants that I got from plant trades, and it's also a better way for me to get the wish list plants that I want in my plant collection without spending a penny. And especially with inflation, and let's face it, plant hobby is a luxury. During quarantine, we're not spending money on anything. We're all at home, but now we don't have that much extra money to be spending on plants. So plant swaps is the way to go to get our wish list plants and also not to spend money in building up our plant collection. And next big plant trend that I'm going to see in 2023 is people wanting to have a more curated plant collection. And you know, that's have been my goal for like the past 2 years within my plant collection, but I think other plant parents are going to be wanting the same. And it's not just our lifestyle is getting busier and a lot different compared to quarantine COVID. It's just that we now know our taste and what we want when it comes to the plants that we have. So there's probably certain genuses of plants that we don't like. There's certain genus of plants that we prefer. One group of plant parents, they might choose low maintenance plants. Another group of plant parents want plants that challenge them, that really will test their plant parenting skill. And that is what's going to get them really excited about plants and building up their plant collection. And also by having a creative plant collection, it prevents the plant hobby becoming a chore. Although I know for a lot of us, we enjoy doing our plant chores. It is a form of active meditation for us, but sometimes it can be really a chore. So with a more curated plant collection, we are more inclined to take care of the plants that we have because we love the plants that we have. And secondly, it's a much smaller plant collection, so it takes up less of our time and effort to take care of them. And the next plant trend that's going to be big in 2023 is outdoor gardening. So gardening has kind of been divided into two different communities, the outdoor gardeners and the indoor gardeners. So We houseplant people tend to be the indoor gardeners, and the outdoor gardeners are the one who grows fruits and vegetables or are into homesteading. And not that outdoor gardening hasn't been big ever, it's always been big. Like I said, it's kind of like a separate community. It's always been there before even houseplants became a mainstream hobby. And even in 2020, we see a lot of people taking interest in creating their own victory garden. But what I mean about outdoor gardening becoming a big thing in 2023, it's not just about having a vegetable garden or trying to grow our own food. It's more about bringing our houseplants outdoors and actually growing them outside. And that includes people like us in the Northeast, where during spring and summer, during the growing season, when the weather is nice outside, we will be taking our houseplants outside more and actually using it for landscaping, for decorating our garden, our backyard space. If we have them in our balconies, if we have them in our urban spaces, I think outdoor gardening will take place in many different forms, not just in the growing your food area. And aside from the landscaping thing, I've also seen this trend starting to get bigger, is people building their own greenhouses in their backyard. Personally, that is a dream of mine, to be able to have a greenhouse in my own backyard. So I know this trend is kind of like specific for those who can afford it and have the space to, but I see this becoming a bigger trend as well for houseplant people when it comes to outdoor gardening. This next two plant trends that I'm gonna mention that's going to be big in 2023, I don't necessarily endorse, but I do see it coming up a lot within the houseplant community. So I think it's going to be very big in 2023. First one is doing a DIY at-home tissue culturing plants, which honestly, I probably need to learn more about, but I've seen people try to attempt it, and it's not really an easy, neither cheap process. But I know there are some companies now or individuals trying to sell like tissue culture kits to plant parents so that they can attempt to tissue culture their own plants, which I am not really sure about this trend. I'm just mentioning it because I see it happening. If you're trying to get into tissue culture, just make sure to do your research and talk to people who are real experts on it, and not just go by what you see on TikTok or maybe even on YouTube. Just do your own research, talk to experts, talk to botanists, horticulturists that have been doing this for a long time before you attempt to do it yourself, especially at home. Because you need like a whole laboratory for that. You can't just do it in your garage or in your kitchen. And the second plant trend that I think is going to be big in 2023 that I also don't kind of fully endorse, but I'm okay with it because I've done it myself, is importing plants. And now you might say importing plants has always been a thing in the plant community, but I think it's going to have a huge year in 2023 for a couple of reasons. Okay, one reason is plant parents who have been in the plant hobby for at least 3 years have probably bought every single plant that they like from their nearest big box stores. And not all of us are blessed with a plant nursery or plant shops close to our area, even though in many places plant shops and plant nurseries have been popping up, like in the DC area. Within just the past 2 years, there's so many plant shops and plant nurseries that pop up, and some of them have great variety in the plants they're offering, but most of them don't. And most of these plant shops still share the more popular common house plants, and very few do sell the rare plants that people are clamoring for. And one way to get those rare trendy house plants is by importing them. And second, importing plants have also become a lot easier, especially with Ecuagenera doing pop-ups all around the US. It's easier for people to have access to the imported plants. But I think there's also going to be a downside to this plant trend because one, imported plants are not as cheap as they used to be. The prices are actually going up. Some of them do have good sales if you can catch them. But what I can see in this import plant websites is their prices are pretty much the same for the plants that you could find in the US already. Even if import plants are still cheaper compared to what you can find in the US, you still have to buy them in bulk, so it still involves a lot of money. On top of that, the plants that you buy don't always acclimate well, so I think people are weighing the cost effectiveness of importing plant as well when it comes to the money spent and the effort given into trying to acclimate import plants. So there's a downside to that plant trend as well. Plant trends that are going out in 2023 is propagating houseplants. And don't get me wrong, I love propagating my houseplants, but the trend in propagating that I see going out is mass propagating our houseplants. And I used to do this a lot too because one, I have a hard time letting go of houseplants. When I prune them, I always tried to propagate the cuttings. I couldn't let them go. And second, there's this mindset that I could sell these plants and make money of it. But now that the plant demand has gone low and plant prices have also gone low, so if you're trying to propagate plants to sell, they don't sell as quickly as they did before. In the past, when I post plants on Facebook Marketplace, they get sold out immediately. Now I have plants that I listed in Facebook Marketplace that never got bought. And I think also people have noticed that the plants that we're propagating are the ones giving us stress, not the actual plants that we have in our plant collection. So I think people would start to stay away from overpropagating their houseplants and only propagate when needed. Like me in 2022, I only propagated the plants that needed, which are my rehab plants. Those are the ones that I focus on to make sure that they recover and bounce back. In some cases, I wasn't too successful. You can check out the video that I did for plant moss. I think plants I lost in 2022 or something, and a good chunk of them I did kill or lost during a propagation or rehab process. Okay. Next plant trend that's out in 2023, the Ikea Greenhouse cabinet. I know people are going to disagree with me on this. My longtime viewers probably know I've already gotten rid of my Ikea Greenhouse last year, and the reason I say that is because, one, just like with my experience with it, a lot of the plants that I have originally in the cabinet has outgrown it, and upgrading doesn't make sense because it will soon outgrow it too. Second, the Ikea Greenhouse cabinets are not cheap. They're always sold out in Ikea still. It's still kind of difficult to buy it secondhand, because like even with me with my Detolf, I still haven't figured out how I'm going to sell that because I don't want to kind of like disassemble it, but I also don't know how to like sell it as is. And those who still have the Ikea Greenhouse cabinet, they're not really using it the way we originally are using it. They're trying to do something different with it, like they're turning it into a terrarium, which I think is really cool. I don't think I will ever attempt it because it's just too much of a project for me, for I know something that's not gonna last again in my situation. But for those who have done it, I think it's beautiful. I applaud their effort in trying to make it, but for me, it's not just a worthwhile project for the plants that I have and for the kind of plant parenting style that I have. Next plant trend that is out in 2023, plant hauls. And I'm not shaming anyone who still want to do plant hauls, especially new plant parents. New plant parents are exempted from this, because if you're new plant parents, you're trying to build up your plant collection, you want to share your plant haul, go ahead and do so. But I think even for the more experienced plant parents, they're gonna agree with me on this because they already have the plants they want in their plant collection. In my case, I know I barely did any plant hauls last year. I bought 3 new plants last year, that's it. And most of the plants that I got are from plant trades, and that's the only time I probably did any plant haul, and the one time that I got a gift from Arid Asia, the import order that I had from them. So those are the couple times that I can think that I did plant hauls. And even when I watch like YouTube videos, I don't really see many plant hauls anymore. So I think the era of doing plant hauls is over. But if you still want to do it, again, especially if you're a new plant parent, go for it. I'm not judging, I'm not shaming, but I don't think people, again, are just spending that much money plant shopping to be able to do plant hauls or do plant unboxings. Again, unless you're a plant content creator and you got gifted some plants from some companies, that's the only way, at least in my case, that I'd probably be doing a plant haul. Or I went to a plant swap or a plant trade and I want to share the plants that I got from those plant swaps. I think especially now with people becoming more aware about the bad capitalism practices, as more plant parents want to be more eco-conscious and sustainable with their plant hobby, I think plant hauls are going to be very minimal in 2023. And with that, I think also the era of chasing plant trends is over. And I honestly barely saw it in 2022. I don't even know what is a trending houseplant in 2022, to be honest. Maybe the El Chocolate, kind of somewhat. I think that's the only reason I got it, because so many people are talking about it. And I wanted to get into more climbing philodendrons. But other than that, I don't really see a plant that is trending anymore. Or even if there are plants that have trended in the past year, I don't think people are into chasing those plant trends anymore. So I think in 2023, that is going to be completely not a thing anymore. And another plant trend that I think is going to be out in 2023, which I think is going to be a big one, is the end of gimmicky plant hacks. And I'm not referring to the weird plant hacks that we see in like 5-minute crafts or something, but plant hacks that you see on TikTok or like shared with plant parents. And this is not me criticizing or judging people who want to do plant experiments. I'm also not trying to discourage that. If you want to experiment in your plants, go ahead. But people who promote certain plant hacks to make their plants grow faster or propagate easier or whatever. I don't think those are going to fly anymore in 2023. People, I think, are seeing through that BS. But sometimes I think it's just people promoting a product that for something that doesn't really work. And I think a lot of people fell for those kind of plant hacks and has affected their plants, or maybe even lost their plants because of those plant hacks. So they're gonna stay away from those. And even the ones that I think would work or have been reputable, I don't think plant people are going to be jumping on them. And I think some of the popular ones in the past years are also not going to be as popular this year, like using beneficial insects. That using beneficial insects is not really necessary for most of us plant hobbyists. And there's also concerning environmental impacts with where we buy our beneficial insects from. And also trending potting mediums like leca, and then it became lechuza ponds. I'm pretty sure there's something in 2023 that's gonna trend again, but I don't think people are gonna hop on it as much as people did with leca. But even with ponds, not a lot of people hopped on it like they did with leca. So I think the trending potting mediums era is also going to be over in 2023. And the last plant trend that's gonna end in 2023, and this one might hurt, it hurts me a little bit, but if you've been paying attention to the what's in for plant trends in 2023, you're gonna see this coming, is the indoor jungle vibes is over. That era is gone. I don't think people are going to be into the indoor jungle vibes anymore. I do think people would still have a lot of plants. I still have a lot of plants, as you can see in my background, but I don't think they're going to overfill their space with houseplants to the point that it's taking over spaces or areas that are not really meant for plants, just to fill up the space with more greenery. So as people want more curated plant collections, want their plants displayed properly or styled properly or incorporated in their home decor, and as plant people also start to dabble with outdoor gardening, and with that, I think the era of indoor jungle vibes is officially over. And those are the plant trends that I think that's gonna take place in 2023. What's in and what's out. Let me know what you think and share your thoughts. Let me know if you agree with my plant trends predictions for this year, and also share some of yours in the comments. I would love to read them. But thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new here, please do subscribe. I come up with videos every week. And if you haven't yet, check out these videos up here until my next one. But until then, I see you. I appreciate you. Take care of yourself and each other, and have a plantiful day. Bye.